You're listening to From the Horse's Mouth, intrepid conversations with Phil Furst. Ready to meet the disruptors who are guiding us to the new great utopia by reshaping our world and pushing past corporate spin for honest conversations about the future impact of current and emerging technologies? Tune in now.
Hey, welcome to the latest edition of the Horse's Mouth podcast. I'm Phil Furst, and joining me today is a very special guest, Pascal Bornet. Many of you have probably heard of Pascal over the years. I remember during the early days of robotic process automation when I think Pascal and I first got connected when he was at McKinsey. But I'd love you, Pascal, to maybe chime in a bit about yourself. What is it you're driving these days, and is this what you thought you'd be doing when you were coming out of college as an ambitious young man?
Hey Phil, thanks for having me. And just a little bit of background on myself. I'm coming from 20 plus years of consulting. As you mentioned, McKinsey was one of the company I worked for. EY was another one. For both of those companies, I was originally in the outsourcing, process improvement, business intelligence type of practices and initiatives that we implemented for our corporate clients. When RPA came to the world, I specialized in that and built for both of those companies, EY and McKinsey, their intelligent automation practices. Got very passionate about the topic and the capacity that it has to make our world more human and boost our companies' efficiencies and productivity. That I wrote this book, Intelligent Automation. That was 5 years ago now. There was many focus on how can companies, business leaders leverage those automation technologies to improve their processes, improve their customer experience, employee experience, and also a reflection on how this can impact our world for the better, but also potentially for the worst, and what we can do for that. Yeah, passionate about all these, that I shared a lot about those topics of automation and the future of work on social media, and lucky today to have more than 2 million followers across social media platforms. Key lesson that I learned from those 2 decades of implementing those transformations in companies is that whatever the technology you implement, whatever how good and sophisticated it is, the human component is the most important. And this makes a difference between using the same technology in company A or company B. Company A will succeed because it's gonna educate, it's gonna manage change, it's gonna be close to their people, involve their people, and this will make the difference compared to company B that just wants to implement technology because it's about finding efficiency and because everybody else is talking about it and just for the shiny tool. And so this was 5 years ago after publishing Intelligent Automation. I focused on researching at the intersection between human and AI because I really believe this is where the highest value lies for companies in terms of adoption. And the better you adopt those technology, the better the impact will be for your business. That I wrote. So this book, which is the outcome of this research, which is irreplaceable. How can we stand out in the age of AI for us as individuals, as leaders, but also as companies? And I talk about the 3 competencies of the future. So basically what all of us, companies or people, should focus on now, to build now, to be relevant and better in the future. So the 3 competencies of the future being AI ready or tech ready. Okay, so meaning understanding how to use those technology to the highest extent, but also understanding their and mitigating the potential issues that it comes from them. The second is about being change ready in a world where everything is going faster and faster on an exponential pace. We need to be ready to a new level of adaptation and a new level of resilience. This is valid for us as people, as leaders, but also for our companies. And the third one is in a world where AI is taking over more and more of the capabilities we thought were uniquely human. Creativity, for example. What are the uniquely human abilities that make us, that technology will never really achieve, and that make us complementary to technology, and where if we build them to the highest extent, we create synergy and we create higher value with technology.
You've had quite
Yes,
the journey, Pascal. You've had quite the journey. We'll get on to the next book in a minute. You've had
Okay.
quite the journey. It's interesting because I met with Simon Sinek a couple of times, and he told me that. I said, "How did you get so famous? Like, you are a global superstar." And he said he had lunch one day with some kid who was an expert in YouTube. And he said they did one video with him and it just went completely viral. He didn't know how it happened, but that was that one thing he did that propelled him to being such a voice in the industry. You seem to have gone through a similar phase. Like you suddenly went from a consultant, a McKinsey, when I first met you, to this voice of AI. I mean, what number one in the AI bestsellers list on Amazon right now. So is there anything you can share on, was there one thing that you did that propelled you, that got you out there, or was it more of a sequence of things?
I think it's a sequence of things. The first one is writing my first book. And I think this has been possible thanks to the pandemic. So just to tell you how those coincidences are very random. The pandemic gave me time to finish it and to write and to publish it. And when you write a book, that's crazy what all that happens. And people come to you and say, "Oh, wow, you've said something that I wanted to say for a long time," or "You've helped our company so much in doing this." And you really got passionate about how you can help people and businesses get better, and you want to share about it. It's really about sharing a passion, I would say, just about that.
So going from, you said, the corporate world where some people buy technology for the sake of technology, some are investing because they feel they're finding real value, real change. What do you think is true today when you go back into the corporate world and you talk to your old clients or new enterprise leaders? Do you sense there's a sea change going on with how they're approaching transformation and innovation when it comes to AI? Or do you think it's still very much, we're still very much steeped in the same issues we had 10 years ago?
I think we are still overall in the same issues of data quality, of process messiness, of change management issues, communication issues, and so on. So all this, definitely remains. But on top of this, we are adding a lot of complexity with a lot of new technologies that can bring a lot of efficiency. The CEOs I work with today are all, they feel overwhelmed by all that is happening. And you see the news. Every day you have a new model coming out with a new capability, with a new benchmark, with a new... So how it's very difficult for them to understand what is essential, what is not. So I think to answer your question, it's getting more complex. It's getting more complex because of the speed at which all this is going.
It's also very personal, don't you think? Someone said to me the other day, I just can't get enough of this AI crack. I'm like, that's a bit... But it's true in a way. Like there's 5 or 6 really awesome tools out there. I run an analyst company, and I've started to use like ChatGPT Pro, Perplexity a lot for now in just like a research assistant thing. Like it's honing tools for me. It's helping me pull data together better. It's becoming like something to help me do my job better. And then I'm bringing on people who are actually running boot camps, getting other analysts on calls to say, we're all using these tools and we're all figuring it out together. And we're saying, hey, have you tried doing this? Have you tried doing that? Have you tried taking these 10 bullet points and asking agentic tools to translate these into an avatar, for example? Are we, how are we using this to make a difference with our business to stay ahead of the rest? Because, I feel one, as an information company, we have an opportunity because we have an authentic voice. At the same time, we're also under massive threat because you can see how your own clients can start to build out these tools. So they don't need you anymore, right? So irreplaceable is a fantastic way to describe, how to be better at this. How do you make yourself irreplaceable? But when we get to the corporate world, are we seeing a similar vibe, do you think, from some of these leaders? Like, are they actually personally getting pulled into this, or they just think we have to be AI aware, we have to be good at this stuff? Are we on the train is where I'm going with this, Pascal, or do you think we have to go through another iteration of are we replaceable before we get there?
I think it's not easy to be a CEO today in this context. So I mentioned about the complexity and the overwhelming environment in which we are. But besides this, you have huge opportunities and massive possibilities for your company to completely change the game. And this happens almost every day, that you have a new capacity that comes on the market that can be better than your competitor or can directly change your industry. So how can you, the key thing today is how can you pick the ones that are the important, the most relevant, and the most actionable for your company. And I like to take the image of renovating a house, because adding to this complexity is the fact that we have a company. As a CEO, you have a company. This company exists. It has its systems now. It has its people now, its processes now. And all this technology is coming. It's like, and you still need your company to work. Okay, every day you need to deliver your revenue, your cash flow, and you can't do a full renovation, go out of the house, rent another house, and get the whole renovation. I mean here, building new systems and building a new company. You need to renovate as you live in this house, and this is very complex. So it's about picking what is the most important to renovate, picking not taking too much risks. I mean, you want to renovate the roof without being sure that you have the right walls, and you want maybe some aspect of decoration are more important than changing the windows. Or it's really about having clarity on your strategy, understanding well your market, and then understanding extremely well your clients. So it comes back to those basic, I would say, fundamental things. But also it comes now, there is a shift that CEOs need to make in order to avoid being overwhelmed and to go with the flow and making sure they are not left behind. It's about trying regularly those new technologies that are coming, trying them, getting hands-on. There is no other way to understand the technology today than trying it. So have your teams try things, give them the time. So what I recommend is educating our teams to those new technologies, to AI, to generative AI, to agentic AI. But what does it mean? It doesn't mean getting them into a classroom anymore. I mean, we don't have time to do that. And anyway, whenever the classroom is finished, the technology that you've taught is already obsolete. So it's more of a mindset and a way of working. And what I recommend is give to your team members 15 to 20% of their working time for them to stay updated of what's coming out, what are the new tools, new AI that are coming out that can help them in their work, that can help the company. And secondly, for them, whenever they identify a technology that is that is relevant, to try it, fail at it. Really this experimentation and this spirit of experimentation, of failing to succeed, because the more you fail, the more you succeed, is extremely important. And it is us, the leaders, to be able to give this mindset, this time, and to reward. So the incentives that we give, the KPIs, and the OKRs of our people should be aligned with that, rewarding them for innovating, for failing, for keeping themselves updated, for automating their work, for bringing other people from their teams into this work. And I think there is also it's also a collaborative effort where you want everyone in the company to share what they've identified as opportunities to improve their work, so that others can try it as well. So the role of the CEO, which used to be very in an ivory tower, having a vision, and it's not enough anymore. And I think it's very important for the CEO to show that they are also trying, they are also hands-on, and they are rewarding this type of behaviors.
You just completed a big study that showed, most CIOs are still very much these cost center managers now. Like they've got to keep the budgets down, they've got to keep the ships sailing. And everything we're talking about here is completely foreign to the way that CIOs have operated for the last 30, 40 years. Like suddenly they have to become business leaders, collaborators, working with their business counterparts to figure this out. It's so much more personal. It almost feels like we need a whole new breed of people to run enterprise technology, because some of these people who are in there today are struggling. Like I don't know about you, Pascal, but when I talk to clients, I can tell within 5 minutes whether they're getting their hands dirty with this or whether they're just bullshitting, right? And I think we're at a phase now where we're in an industry that's run by fear versus possibility. Like a year ago, we were all sitting at conferences, starry-eyed still, looking at ChatGPT and Gen AI and large language models and thinking of the possibilities. Now it's like you can feel the paranoia in the room, right? I've got to get on top of this or I'm toast, right? So are we at that point in the world where things are going to change quite dramatically? I had a great description with a colleague of mine yesterday where we were looking at a 2030 vision for like Agentic AI, for example, where it's going to take 5 more years to get to a place where this is real. Now we have the wonderful President Trump has come along, and he's poured gasoline onto a smoldering platform. Whether he liked it or not, he's ignited a whole bunch of chaos and paranoia and fear in the business world. And we think the time frame for organizations to really agentify themselves is 2027. It's not 2030 anymore. They're getting constricted. They're getting chaos. Uncertainty is driving more focus on this. One, do you agree with this? And two, are you experiencing clients starting to get more aggressive with making changes now?
Yeah, completely agree with you. And I think there are two ways to react to what's happening. Either you and this is very close. We face the same thing in our lives as well as an individual. Change happen, and a very quick change happening. Either you fear it, and so you talked about FOMO, for example, so the fear of missing out. A lot of CEOs are currently facing this because they see all this happening. Am I missing something? And this comes from a good point in themselves. They wanna survive, they wanna succeed, and so the fear of missing out. But there is the also those people who just take a step back and first of all don't fall into the drawback of constantly thinking they are missing something and constantly chasing things. But take the step back and say, okay, whatever is happening today, I won't have a look. Now I'll have a look at what just happened yesterday, and I'll really go in depth into it and understand what can I do with that, and what are the opportunities I can get from that. So it's really changing the mindset from being scared of something to see it as an opportunity,
Yeah.
and seeing how I can size it, and and this mindset is like it's changing the whole thing. It's so yeah, it's not how can I adapt quickly to this technology, it's how can I use this technology to do something that is changing the game and that
Yeah.
I'm passionate about.
So almost like it's all that unlearning concept comes to
Yeah,
mind on
definitely love
let's
it.
just forget about the way we used to think. Like we got away for years. It's like, we spent 10, 20 years watching CIOs boast about their SAP or Oracle implementations, and they were very public about it. Suddenly, AI is top secret. Like, no one can talk about it. But it's so personal to people. It's so much more of a impact, not just on our businesses, but on ourselves and our careers. So that takes me on to
I feel just on that note, which I think is very important for C levels. So we are getting into an environment that is boosted by technology, change that is boosted by technology. So it's us also to use technology to help us in our decision making, and to help us understand better this environment and make the right decisions. And I really believe that today, if a C level doesn't use a large language model to help them in making their decisions, they are really missing a big thing, and they should really get the help of technology to help them survive and succeed in a world boosted by technology. That's critical. I mean, any decision that I make, I will double check, am I complete in what I've thought about? What are the other opportunities? What is the right way to implement it? We have, those large language models. So it can be Claude, it can be ChatGPT, it can be Gemini or whatever, but use those tools to help in the decision making. That's so important. We go faster, we go better, that's the only way to succeed.
Okay.
That's a very basic recommendation, but I think it's fundamental today.
So finally, the new book. What inspired you? Because you are the real brains behind our wonderful Agentic Artificial Intelligence book. What inspired you to write this one? Here we go. Here's the book. Currently #1 in the Amazon AI bestsellers list, everybody. What inspired you to write this, and what type of reaction are you getting? And maybe what is your one big takeaway from this whole latest book experience?
Yes. So we started really talking about agentic, I would say a bit more than a year ago. And I think Andrew Unger really put this on the stage. I think it was in March last year, something like that. By being the first, I think, to talk about agentic AI, as we used to say agents with. Of course, with my background, which is the same as yours, having helped companies to automate end-to-end business processes, to free up their people to focus on more insightful, exciting activities, to improve productivity, improve customer and employee experience using those end-to-end automations. As large language models are coming, they are giving us new opportunities to improve those beyond whatever we've been able to do with those automations. So for me, it's a natural evolution of my expertise from those RPA, rigid, fixed automations that were not adaptable at all to intelligent automation that was a mix of AI and RPA to help manage invoices, documents, and so on into those end-to-end processes. Having now the capacity, having now large language models that are capable of understanding context, understanding goals, plan actions, and act on tools, and then learn from their actions to improve themselves. That's just, I mean, I could not have not. It was not even an idea not to write a book on that. Having written intelligent automation, it was the natural evolution of this type of opportunity that we are giving to businesses and to people and to society.
Well, the biggest frustration when we were first writing about RPA in 2012 was the fact that the technology couldn't do what a lot of agentic is currently doing and is getting better at doing. And the concept was there 13 years ago, but now it's becoming reality. And, let's not discount the use of RPA, because it still is a very, very good tool for patching up systems, breathing new life into architectures and things like that. But I really feel we have tools today that can take us to a very different place. And change is hard. And this is probably the hardest change we've ever had to go through, right? So, I think this book's been a great experience. I've really enjoyed supporting you on it, Pascal. So thank you for asking me to do that. And I can't wait for everybody else to give us more feedback. We're going to be sharing a copy at our New York Summit next week as well to many folks who are there. So I really appreciate your time today, Pascal, and may this be the first of many future conversations that we have in this post-agentic world.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think we are really at the right time, at the conjunction of two big technologies, and that's really what motivated me to launch the writing of the book. I mean, we started writing the book a year ago. Just to tell you, and at that time, almost no one was talking about that. As I said, Andrew Unger was I think the first one to launch this word. Agentic AI, and it was really nascent, and very interesting and very exciting to help companies building those first pilots and building on our experience of automating end-to-end processes using RPA and other technologies is incredibly enriching, and we come so rich of this experience because there are a lot of similarities between those types of transformations. Yeah, I mean, and so today we are really at the conjunction of two big technologies, large language models coming with their capacity to understand context, to break down goals into action plans. And on the other side, we have what we've been working on, automation, the capacity to automate tasks, workflows. Both of them have had, before agentic, their limitations. LLMs couldn't do anything. So they can give you great advice, but they can't implement it. And the fact that they can't implement it makes that sometimes their recommendations are wrong because they are not applicable. And on the other side, we have what we know very well, that those automations that were quite rigid, lack of understanding of context. And whenever something changed in the context, that could break the whole automation. So having those two forces coming together and giving to those large language models the capacity to act, and giving those automations the capacity to understand context and build build action plans and act based on the context, creates agentic AI that today gives huge opportunities for companies, but also risks of going into the wrong direction. So that's really what is behind this book, directing the companies, the CEOs, the leaders in the right direction. And thanks again, Phil, for participating into this.
Excellent. Well, la prochaine fois, nous parlerons en français, Pascal.
D'accord.
D'accord. Merci bien. À la prochaine fois.
À bientôt, Phil.
À bientôt.
Thanks for tuning in to From the Horse's Mouth, Intrepid Conversations with Phil Furst. Remember to follow Phil on LinkedIn and subscribe and like on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favourite platform for no-nonsense takes on the intricate dance between technology, business, and ideological systems. Got something to add to the discussion? Let's have it. Drop us a line at fromthehorsesmouth@hfsresearch.com or connect with Phil on LinkedIn.